Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs, where today we're going to go through a reboxing of the Aether War box set that just came out today. Now, we were excited about being involved in New Year, New Army with Games Workshop, and we saw the Aether War box set as a perfect opportunity to dig in deep to the Caradron Overlords and the Disciples of Tzeentch. And so that meant we were up in the wee hours of the morning getting our hands on this box and assembling all the models. This is what your force will look like once you've gone through and cut across all the gray sprues and hacked together and glued all these models together. So you're going to get not a full force for Age of Sigmar, but the core of what you would build an army on, which is pretty standard for Games Workshop. Now the interesting thing about these models is that they're all flyers. But let's start off with one of my favorite models to come out of this, the new Engine Master in Dirigible suit. Now this is a model that just comes in this set. Buying this box is the only way to get your hands on him. Now he has a mix of close combat and ranged weapons, but his real skill is making sure that the engine riggers attached to his fleet are extra diligent in repairing sky vessels. So what the Caradron Overlords come with is 2 sprues of sky riggers. Now they recommend you build one as engine riggers and one as sky wardens. So let's go over the Sky Wardens. These are the martial figures of your force. They have little pistols, but they're known for their spears and their close attack mines. So if you get too close to them, their anti-personnel mines will go off. These are those figures that are supposed to get up close and personal and engage in hand-to-hand combat in defense of the fleet. Now, the more mechanical cousins are the engine riggers. Now they carry some close combat weapons. They've got some little ranged weapons, but they're not far away shooters. They're not real close up fighters. What they're really good at is fixing sky vessels. And that's what the Engine Master does, is he makes sure that they do a good job and he gives them bonuses to fixing sky vessels. Which brings us to what I love about the Caradron Overlords. They're gunships. Now this is what first turned me on to this particular faction of Age of Sigmar. I've equipped it out with a regular cannon, and in this force it has a 36-inch range. So out of all the miniatures in this box, this has the longest range of engagement, but it also has a backup weapon for if anyone gets too close. And if you get really close and succeed in charging it, it has little torpedoes, little anti-personnel mines that will go off and potentially wound anyone. Now, what's interesting, since this is all a flying force, these little models can get really close to this guy and they can hitchhike. So you'll declare that this is going to move and that your little squad is going to hop on board, hook up, follow it to its move, detach, and then go about its business. So it's a great way to move a lot of Caradron Overlords across the battlefield quickly. Little armored personnel carrier in the skies. Now let's turn to the Disciples of Tzeentch. Now, right here, we have the new model, Magister on Disc. This is going to be the wizard in the force. The Caradron Overlords don't cast spells, they don't have a wizard. But this little individual is going to be your wizard. He's going to cast your spells in the force. He can do ranged combat, and he does have his spear for up close and personal action. Very well sculpted model, but fiddly as heck to put together and very time consuming. So be careful, a lot of the little pieces on him are quite tiny. So let's cover some of the other models you get with here. The Zangors. Now let's start with the Zangor Skyfire. These are your ranged weapon guys. With their bows, they can shoot farther distances. They do have a close combat. They can take their little bows and knock you on top of the head, and their little discs have jaws. They can reach out and bite you. I'm not a big Tzeentch fan, so this will be a new one for me, delving into the armies of chaos. Now their close cousins are the Zangor Enlightened. Now these are the close combat stabby guys. They sit upon their discs, and their job is to fly and maneuver close to you and engage in close combat. Now, they don't get a sky vessel like the Caradron do, What they do is get Screamers of Zeech. These are your dumb guard dogs. They get up close, they hit hard, and they don't let go. Now, what this box set does is runs you through a narrative campaign. Since there's not enough models here to play a full Battle Force campaign where you count by points, what they provide is a narrative campaign. And the idea of the narrative is that your small flotilla is going out into Disciples of Zeech territory to look for gold. And in that effort, they find that the Disciples of Zeech are casting a spell that could destroy your Skyport's way of life through a massive storm. So the first battle plan, you'll only start off with a leader and a squad on both sides. The second one, leader and 2 squads. And by the third one, all sides, all models get involved. And this is a very nice way to walk you through and learn the game of Age of Sigmar. Now, for experienced players, what they have is a new rule set that they call Maelstrom of War. This is a 1-page rule set for if you're playing games of Age of Sigmar, where all the participants are flyers, there's new rules to enhance that and give it more of the flair of dogfights in the air. So you're going to have the ability to have terrain features that fly by you, that you can bump into or hide behind. They're going to have ways for you to do barrel rolls or move faster or lose control. These aren't the aerial combat rules that we saw in December 2019. This is more for regular games of Age of Sigmar. And in future videos, we're going to be covering how you can use these models to play different games, either Skirmish or Warcry that belong to Games Workshop, or other miniature agnostic games such as Dragon Rampant, Oathmark, or Frostgrave. So with New Year, New Army, we're going to go through the whole process of getting you started in this game, and we're going to use Aether War as a set. So we're going to go through, do some videos where we're going to assemble the models that come in this box set, and we're going to show you how to paint some of the models that come in this box set. Now I'm going to pass it over to Brian, who will show you all the components in the set.
My name is Brian, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing of Games Workshop's newest box, Aether Wars, for Age of Sigmar. So I already have everything laid out, so this is a kind of a reverse unboxing, a reboxing, as you might say. So let's start with the book stuff. So first off, as every GW game has, or GW box has, is the building instructions for everything that you get. A lot of this is already familiar and release stuff, but this box does have 2 new characters for each side, the Khaedron Overlords and the Disciples of Zeech. So here we have the Aether War book, which goes through different things through it, with art and different faction for each faction. Of course, the core rules. Need these to play. This will take you through step by step for starting a game. Tokens, which are a huge must in Age of Sigmar, so these are great. Of course, we have bases upon bases. We have big base for the big gunship, little base for the little gunship guy, and now we have all sorts of flying bases because the whole basis of this box is flying battles in Age of Sigmar, which is really cool. Some more for the Khaedron Overlords and other Zeech stuff. Probably one of my favorite things about Age of Sigmar are the War Scroll cards. They're very useful and come in handy in a lot of games. But another thing that this comes with is hidden agendas, which is really cool. Let's move on to the really exciting stuff, the plastic. So let's start with the Zeech side. We'll go over some things that already been released. So we have here the Enlightened Zangors. We come with 2 sprues of 3 each, so we'll have 6 total Enlightened Zangors on flying discs. These are really nice detail. I really do like the look of Zeech stuff, kind of my style. Next thing we get are 3 Screamers. These are some of the flying units in the Disciples of Tzeentch. These are really nice miniatures. I see a lot of these, and they're really nice to paint up too. So can't wait to see people paint these up. And the last for the Tzeentch side is the Tzeentch Magister on disc. This guy is newest miniature for the Tzeentch army, so check this out because it's really cool. All right, moving on to the Kharadron Overlords. So we have two sprues each of Sky Wardens. You could either put them as Sky Wardens or make them as engine riggers. These are really cool. They're floating dwarves, so that's always awesome. I've always loved the aesthetic of steampunk flying dwarves. That's always cool. So next is what really sets them apart is their vehicles. This is the Grunstock Gun Hauler, which is really cool. It's one of their big airships. So I really like the look of everything on this sprue. These are really awesome models, and this is a really cool box. And last but not least is the new miniature for the Kharadron Overlords, the Endrin Master, in the dirigible suit. He's another floating dwarf, which is always awesome. Make sure to check this out. It's a great box and a great way to get into Age of Sigmar. All right, I think that wraps it up for me. Thanks for watching. And I'm Brian at Miniature Wargame Labs.